This is a very important tutorial to watch if you have a job interview coming up very soon. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you the easiest way to answer the most difficult interview questions. And those questions are called behavioural interview questions. The type of questions where the hiring manager says to you, tell me about a time you provided excellent customer service. Tell me about a challenge you had to overcome at work. Tell me about a time you worked in a team. And also tell me about a time when you disagreed with your boss. So if you have a job interview coming up soon for any role or company, make sure you stay tuned because I promise to help you pass at the very first attempt. And to achieve that goal, this is what I will cover during this tutorial. So I will teach you the easiest and fastest way to answer behavioural interview questions. I will also give you 2 very important tips for answering behavioural interview questions to get the highest scores possible. I am then going to give you a top scoring example quick answer to each of the 21 most common behavioural interview questions. And then finally, I will tell you where you can instantly download these slides and the full set of 21 brilliant answers. So lots of reasons why you should stay tuned if you have a job interview coming up soon. And just very quickly, if you are new to this channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's really important. Literally thousands and thousands of you are passing your job interviews, and I can only help you if you are subscribed. By subscribing, I can also help you to negotiate a salary and progress throughout your career. And please just give the video a like, because that tells me you find these tutorials and the example answers useful. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's get started with 2 very important tips for answering behavioural interview questions. Tip number 1. In your answer, make sure you refer to a specific situation you've previously been in. What do I mean by that? Well, the interviewer wants to hear about a specific situation you have been in that demonstrates your competence in the scenario being assessed. The next important element of this tip is, in your response, make sure you give details about what you actually did. Now, some people complain that they've never been in the situation before and they therefore cannot answer the question. So if you haven't been in the situation before, my advice is to describe a scenario where you witness someone else doing it, because this shows observational skills. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example answer to a common behavioural interview question. So the question is, tell me about a time you provided excellent customer service. Let's assume you've never been in that situation before. Here's what to say. Although I haven't yet been in that situation, I do know how to provide excellent customer service because I have witnessed others give it. For example, I recently stayed at a hotel with my partner and the service was outstanding. We were immediately welcomed by the hotel reception team. Our bags were taken to our room. We were given complimentary drinks and refreshments, and they contacted us 30 minutes after our arrival to check everything was to our satisfaction. Now, whenever we contacted reception, they answered the phone promptly, politely and professionally, and nothing was too much trouble. I understand how important great customer service is to your business, and I'm confident I can provide it to your customers in this role and make them feel special so they use the business again in the future. That is the way to answer behavioural interview questions if you've never been in the scenario before. So let's now move on to tip number 2 before I give you those 21 brilliant quick answers to difficult behavioural interview questions. Tip number 2 is make sure you use a STAR technique to structure your answers to the behavioural interview questions. Let me quickly tell you what the STAR technique is. So STAR stands for situation, task, action and result. And it's an easy thing to remember when you are answering any type of behavioural interview question. So you start off your answer and you tell the interviewer the situation you were faced with. You then move on and briefly outline the task that needed doing, the task that needed your attention. You then give in-depth details about the action you took to achieve the task. And this is where you tell the interviewer what you did. And then you finish off and you tell the interviewer the results following your actions. And another important tip is to make sure the result is always a positive one following your actions. And you will notice in a second when I give you these 21 quick answers to behavioral interview questions that all of the responses finish on a positive note. That is really important. Okay, let's now start working through these quick answers, these easy to remember answers to the 21 most common behavioral interview questions. And the first one is, tell me about a time you provided excellent customer service. Here's my example answer that uses a STAR technique. A customer called our business to inquire about a product we had available. They arranged to come to the company the following day to view the product. My task was to provide them with excellent service when they arrived. As soon as I got off the phone, I learned as much about the product as possible so I could answer any questions they had. When the customer arrived the following day, I made them feel welcome, asked questions to establish their needs, and explained everything I knew about the product and its benefits. I then answered any questions they had in detail. Now, the customer thanked me for my patience and the information I provided before buying the product. So that's a really good, easy to remember answer that shows a situation where you provided excellent customer service. Let me now give you the answer, the quick answer to behavioral interview question number 2. Tell me about a time you worked in a team. This is a common question that comes up all the time during all types of job interviews. Here's my example answer. My manager asked the team I was a part of to come up with ideas to help promote a new company product. It was our task to work closely as part of a team to create a list of solid ideas to ensure the product launch was successful. We decided to hold a team meeting and each took turns to put forward ideas while the rest of the team listened and took notes. I suggested we market the product online and others in the group suggested promoting it to our customer database, offering a discount. At the end of the meeting, we had 5 great ideas which we presented to our manager. He agreed to implement all the ideas, resulting in record sales for the new product launch. That's another really good answer. A quick answer to one of the most common behavioral interview questions. Now, don't go anywhere because I still have 19 more behavioral interview questions and answers to give you. But when you're ready, you can click that link in the top right-hand corner of the video and you can head through to my website, passmyinterview.com, and you can instantly download these slides and my full set of 21 quick top scoring answers to the most common behavioral interview questions as a PDF guide. Here's the next question. Tell me about a challenge you had to overcome. Here's my example answer that uses a STAR technique. Here we go. I worked on a critical time-sensitive team project in my previous role. A technical team member went off sick 3 days before the project deadline. It was my task to find a way to still get the project finished despite being one team member down. I assessed the outstanding workload and allocated some tasks to the remaining team members based on their strengths. Now, for the technical related functions, I found an online contractor qualified to do the work remotely. By thinking outside the box and acting quickly, I overcame this challenge and completed the project on time and to the required standard. You can see how these answers are going to impress any hiring manager. They're really good answers. Here's question 4. Tell me about a time you failed. This is a difficult one because the majority of candidates respond by saying, I've never failed. That is not the way to answer this question. This is about how you react to failure. Are you positive? Do you take it upon yourself to improve? Here's my example response. Tell me about a time you failed. When I started my first job, I undertook an internal training course, including an exam. Now, my task was to partake in the course and achieve a pass mark of 75%. Now, unfortunately, because I thought I knew the subject very well, I did not study hard enough for the exam and I ended up just failing. I was very disappointed in myself, and after apologizing to my supervisor, I studied hard and gained a 97% pass on the retake. I learned a tremendous amount from that experience, and I now prepare thoroughly for every situation, task or project I am responsible for. You can see that that ends on a really positive note. You take responsibility for your failure and you improve. That's the most important thing when answering that common behavioral interview question. Tell me about a time you failed. Question number 5 out of our 21 quick answers to behavioural interview questions is, tell me about a time when you went above and beyond what was expected. Here's my example response. In my current job, my manager asked for a volunteer to cover the work of a colleague who was going to be off sick for 3 weeks. I volunteered to be that person. It was my task to complete my own and my colleague's work to the expected standard. I quickly learned my colleague's duties and responsibilities and prioritised my workload based on the company's needs. By being methodical in my task completion, I could go above and beyond what was expected for my manager to help the company while my colleague was off work. That's a really good answer. Another great answer that will help you be the standout candidate at your interview is question 6. Tell me about a time when you took a calculated risk at work. Wow, this is a difficult one. Again, most people say, I never take risks. The important thing when answering this common behavioural interview question is to show that you do take risks at times, but they are calculated and you assess the pros and cons. Here's my example answer. My manager was off on holiday when I encountered a difficult problem at work. I needed to order a new computer for the office because the old one was broken. However, strict company rules stated managerial permission was required for purchases over $100. I had to decide whether to take the risk and order the computer without the necessary permission. I wrote down a list of the pros and cons of ordering the computer and decided it was the right thing to do. We needed the computer to meet customer demand and to maintain operational efficiency. I took the risk and ordered the computer, and when my manager returned to work, she agreed I had made the right decision. That's a great answer because it shows that you are assessing your options, you are writing down a list of the pros and cons, and you are acting in the best interests of your employer. Question 7. Tell me about a time when you made an unpopular decision. Here's my example answer. I attended a team meeting discussing the project for an important customer. 2 team members wanted to cut corners on the project to save money. I disagreed with their suggestion, and even though my decision was going to be unpopular, I needed to speak out. I explained calmly that cutting corners was unethical and it went against company values. Now, if the client found out we had cut corners, they would be extremely dissatisfied. Although the 2 team members who wanted to cut corners disagreed with me, the rest of the team backed my decision. So that's a really good answer because it shows you are not afraid to say something that is unpopular when it's in the best interests of the company. Question number 8 out of our 21 questions and answers. Don't forget, if you are enjoying this tutorial, please do hit the like button. As you can imagine, many days of preparation goes into making these videos and coming up with the unique answers. All I ask is that you hit the subscribe button and give the video a like. Thank you. Question 8. Tell me about a situation when you received negative feedback and how you handled it. Here we go. During a performance review in my previous role, my manager criticized me for how long I talked to customers on the telephone. Although I was trying to build positive relationships with our customers, it was my task to listen to my manager's feedback and then take steps to improve. Now, once we had finished the performance review, I enrolled in an online customer service training course to learn additional communication skills to speed up my approach while dealing with customers. Now, once the course was finished and I put what I had learned into practice, my customer call handling rates improved significantly. That shows that you are a mature and professional employee who responds well to feedback. You don't sulk. You're not immature. You take it on board. You listen and then you take steps yourself to improve. And there is, again, that positive outcome, which is really important when answering behavioural interview questions. Question 9. Tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a coworker. Here we go. My colleague and I were working on a project but disagreed on the best approach. I felt it was my task to find a way around the conflict for the sake of the project. I suggested we should compromise by taking the positive aspects of each of our suggested methods of working and combining them together. I also suggested we review our progress more regularly to ensure we were still meeting project expectations and timescales. My colleague agreed this was a great way forward that suited both of us, and as soon as we set to work, the conflict disappeared immediately. I'm sure you will agree that that puts you across as the professional work colleague who puts the needs of the project first, and you come up with a brilliant idea to get around the conflict. Again, a successful resolution. Question 10. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with your boss. Now, most people say, I've never disagreed with my boss and I would never do. That's not the way to answer this question. Here's my example response. Here we go. A customer contacted me requesting a refund because they were dissatisfied with their purchase. Now, because the customer was 1 day outside of the permitted refund period, my manager declined their request. I felt this was the wrong decision, and so I tried to persuade my manager to allow the refund to go ahead. I explained that the customer was a long-standing visitor of the business and we should relax the rules on this occasion because we didn't want to lose their custom in the future. Now, after listening to my reasons, he decided it was the right thing to do and I was then able to issue the refund to the customer's satisfaction. And I'm sure you will agree that that is a great way to disagree with your boss because it's in the benefits of the customer and the business to do so. Question 11 of our quick answers to the most common 21 behavioural interview questions. Tell me about a time when you improved a process. Here we go. I had concerns in my previous role that our customers had no facility to make suggestions to us for improvement. Being passionate about customer service, I felt it was my responsibility to develop a new way for customers to provide feedback. After researching different options, I found a website plugin that we could install on our website that allowed customers to fill in a feedback form once they had made a purchase. Customers had the opportunity to rate their shopping experience and provide written feedback on what they felt we could do to improve. Now, after my manager agreed to install the plugin, we started receiving valuable feedback that enabled us to increase customer service standards. This, in turn, helped to increase sales and customer retention. That's another cracking answer. Don't forget, if you want to download all of these responses, the slides and the PDF guide, click the link in the top right-hand corner of the video. Question 12. Tell me about a time when you had to adapt to change. Here's my example answer. In my last job, a new manager took over the running of our department. She was enthusiastic and wanted to make numerous changes to our working practices. Now, some team members fought against the changes, but I saw it as my responsibility to embrace them and support the new manager. I listened to the new manager's brief and what she wanted us to do. I then learned all the new methods of working and encouraged others in the team to do the same. After 4 weeks of implementing the new changes, things started to improve and the team was far more productive and efficient than before. Question number 13. Tell me about a time when you challenged someone's behaviour. Wow, this is a difficult one. Here's my example answer. I overheard a member of another department making inappropriate comments about a co-worker during a break in the canteen. My task was to challenge the person calmly and explain why their comments were unacceptable. I asked them not to use that type of language and that they should show more respect to their co-workers. I also explained that their comments went against company policy and values. And if they use that language again, I would report them to the manager. Now, my actions had a positive effect because they apologised and assured me they would never do it again. That's another top scoring answer. Behavioural interview question number 14. Tell me about a time you helped a co-worker learn a new skill or develop an existing one. Here's my example response. A co-worker wanted to apply for a promotion, but they needed to learn about my job to increase their chances of success. I was happy to help them and saw it as my duty to teach them what they needed to know. I first assessed their level of knowledge and then put a plan of action in place to teach them. They spent an hour a day with me for a week where I taught them my role and how to carry out each duty to a competent standard. At the end of the week, they thanked me for helping them, and when they applied for a promotion, they were successful. That shows that you are a team player who can coach other people and you are selfless in your duties. Another great answer. Question 15 out of our 21 behavioural interview questions and quick answers. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer. Here we go. A customer came into the store requesting a refund, but they didn't have a receipt. When I informed them that I could not issue the refund, they started shouting at me. It was my task to listen to the customer and take action to diffuse the situation. I let the customer vent their frustrations, and while they were talking, I listened. I then explained that company policy prevented me from issuing a refund without a receipt. However, I stated that if they reviewed their bank statement when they got home, it would probably prove that they purchased the goods from our store, which would be a suitable replacement for a receipt. The customer thanked me for this alternative solution, and when they returned the next day with their bank statement, I was able to issue a refund. That's a really good answer because it shows you are providing excellent customer service, you are sticking to the company rules, but you are also providing them with an alternative solution. That's why that answer is so good. Question 16. Tell me about a time you missed a deadline. Now again, most people say, I've never missed a deadline, but we all miss deadlines. Here's the way to answer it. In my last job, my manager gave me a task to work on that included gathering data and information from the previous 5 years' company sales. He stated the task needed to be completed within 48 hours. And despite knowing the deadline would be tight, I was eager to meet it. I started gathering the information and data, but soon realized the magnitude of the task. Not being deterred, I took some work home with me that evening and spent 3 hours trying as hard as possible to make good progress. Now, despite working additional hours, I just missed the deadline. If I had the same task again, I would do things slightly differently and delegate tasks to ensure the deadline was met. However, I have no regrets because I gave it my all and I learned a lot about gathering company data and information. Again, a positive end to that situation. You are being positive. You are admitting to missing the deadline. You are saying, I could have done things differently, but I gave it my all. And that's the most important thing. Question 17. Tell me about a time you demonstrated leadership skills. Now, this question comes out all the time during all types of job interviews, not necessarily leadership roles. You can still demonstrate leadership skills even if you do not hold a leadership position. Here's how. Tell me about a time you demonstrated leadership skills. In my last job, I received a call from a local hotel informing me that the company's scheduled meeting the following day could not be held due to a flood that had taken place overnight at the hotel. 20 people were due to attend the meeting. I decided to show leadership skills and source a new venue for the meeting. I called around suitable alternative venues in the local area and chose one that was cost effective, close to transport links, and could provide refreshments during the meeting. Once the venue had been confirmed, I informed my manager about the situation and the action I had taken. He thanked me for showing leadership initiative before permitting me to contact all meeting attendees with the updated venue change. That's a great answer because the majority of employees wouldn't do that. They would just go and tell their manager that the hotel had called and the meeting had been cancelled. But you're taking the initiative. You are showing leadership skills and sorting out the problem before informing your manager. That's an example of a brilliant, top performing employee. Question 18. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. Here's my example answer. When I first started studying for my exams, I spent many hours reading from textbooks. This proved a mistake because my mock exam results were not what I expected to achieve. It was my task to learn from this mistake to improve for my real exams. Immediately following my mock results, I analysed the best way for me to learn, and it ended up being through visual infographics and being tested with flashcards. By being positive about my mistake and not dwelling on it, I changed how I studied and my exam results improved significantly. That answer speaks for itself. It's a positive way of dealing with a mistake you made, a simple mistake. Question 19, 2 more to go after this. Tell me about a time you used your initiative to solve a problem. Here we go. A supplier contacted our company to explain that a product they had been supplying us with was no longer available. This was a problem because we'd sold several of these products to customers overnight. My task was to use my initiative to find an alternative supplier to supply the product moving forward. I researched alternative suppliers and drew up a short list of 3 suitable companies. I then contacted all 3 companies to obtain quotes and to ascertain delivery times. After speaking to all 3 companies, I chose the one that could provide the best value for money and speed of delivery for our customers. That shows you, resolve to a difficult challenge by showing initiative. Again, you are taking the lead. Question 20. Tell me about a time when you saved a company money. This type of question, behavioural interview question, is coming up more and more during job interviews because companies want to save money. Here we go. One Friday afternoon, I completed my work for the day, so I decided to see if I could help the company save money. I was concerned for some time about how much we were paying for office resources, so I decided to source a new supplier. I assessed how much we spent each month on resources and contacted several new office suppliers to obtain quotes. Now, one of them quoted a saving of more than $300 each month, equating to $3,600 per year. I then presented my findings to my manager, and he thanked me for my work and then switched to the new supplier. That's another great example where you took initiative. You'd finish your work one Friday afternoon, and instead of saying, I've got no more work, you take it upon yourself to look for ways to help save your company money. So I'm about to give you the 21st question. Don't forget, if you want to download the answers, click the link in the top right-hand corner of the video. Question 21. Tell me about a time when you gave feedback to someone. Here we go. This is a difficult question. While working in a previous role, I noticed a work colleague was making numerous mistakes with their work. As their co-worker, I felt it was my responsibility for saying something. I needed to use tact and diplomacy to encourage them to improve. I spoke to my work colleague in private and asked them if they were okay, to which they said they were. I then mentioned their mistakes and asked them why they felt they were making so many. Initially, they were defensive, but I persevered diplomatically. I encouraged them to change and offered to help them if they were struggling with their work. Now, having the confidence to give feedback to my colleague made a massive difference to their work. They never made the same mistakes again, and I'm glad that I intervened. That's a great answer because it shows that you are prepared to talk to your colleague, give them feedback, which then resulted in them taking it upon themselves to improve. It's a great result, a great outcome. So the next thing to do is click that link in the top right-hand corner of the video right now. Head straight through to my website, passmyinterview.com, and you can instantly download my full set of 21 quick answers to the most common behavioral interview questions. You get all of those answers that I've just given you. It's a great resource to help you pass your job interview at the first attempt. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's so important. I want you to subscribe because I can help you not just pass every job interview, but progress throughout your career. Get promoted, get a pay rise, negotiate a salary, you name it. I am here to help you throughout your career. And with thousands of you passing your job interviews and getting the jobs of your dreams, it makes sense for you to subscribe. Please give the video a like. It's a small ask, but it really does motivate me to create more content for you and example answers. Oh, and don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. I've put my LinkedIn link in the description below the video. It's always an honor and a pleasure to connect with like-minded professionals such as yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best for passing your interview. Have a great day.